Let's see. Is everything working well? I think, yep. Let's connect everything up. All right. We're live. Let me make this bigger so everyone can see the goals for today. I've actually done some pretty cool stuff. Oh. One more goal. All right. You know what? While we're at it, off the bat, we're going to get this aircraft rolling done. Okay? We can get that done very quickly. And the way we can get that done, I actually have done half of the work already. There's just this kind of frustrating minor detail. Let's see. I believe... Okay, so... Since last stream... Let's actually start there. Since last stream, I have fixed that floating point bug. It was really weird. It was something to do with doing all of my matrix multiplication in the fragment, in the vertex shader. So I did some of it on the CPU instead. So to show you what I mean, there's begin draw skeletal mesh. I upload the transformation, like this view transform matrix, instead of just the view and then just the transform. And that seemed to fix the whole bug. Let's see. So yeah, along with that, I've done, oh, what else have I done? I've done some stuff. I'll just show you. Frame rate has been improved a little bit. I actually did need to get rid of that. That will break everything. What else? I've implemented like caching on a couple things. So like bone weight caching. I don't know why it looks like the rudders are a little busted. They seem to be very off. There seems to be some offset on the rudders. What is going on here? Rudder. Rudder max angle, pitch delta, yaw delta. How are we calculating these things? U angles, UI diff. And that UI diff, what is it? UI diff is going straight to roll delta. Roll delta is, that's not what that is. So it's something to do with this pitch and yaw delta, which I'm calculating how. Euler angles, diff quat, transform rotation, target rotation. What? Oh. It should be, let's see. It should be unrolled rotation, I think. That's the way I've been handling. I redid how the UI is handled. Rolling the plane caused some problems, but I think, oh, that breaks things still. That totally busts things. Look at the rudders. I don't know why they're doing that. Conjugate, Euler angles, difference quaternion. Where is this? Let's debug what changed. Yay. Hello, James. Let's see. I fixed some I am back. I've been back every day this week, actually. I wish I could keep this up in college. This is fun, but college sucks. And there's no way to do anything worth your time there, sadly. I wish there was. I would be if there was. But, let's see. I need to keep track of the... Oh my. Yeah. It's not James. Oh, it's Zergot. It's Thomas. Both of you like Formula 1, dude. You were my first guess, and then afterwards, after last stream, I thought it could have been James. Let's see. Roll value. Yeah, I've got a bunch of magic variables in here that I shouldn't be using, but it's okay. Roll value. value, and then what? Roll value plus equals roll plus equals this. And then we'll just copy all this, throw it here. I've done some cool stuff since yesterday, I gotta say. I've done some very behind the scenes off stream. There's been some improvements. Oh, the UI looks a little different. You now have this diamond in the center, and that highlights that. I think it looks much better. Oh, and you'll also notice in the bottom right, I'll make this bigger. I don't know if you can pick it up as well on the on stream, but I'm doing some UI work. There's this UI rectangle. It's got that fancy UI I was talking about yesterday. I've implemented a pretty solid setup for it. Yeah, I did fix that weird bug. It was weird. It was weird. What was causing it was this line right here. I added this important note. If I was to remove this, the bug would come back. Basically, I was doing this multiplication operation on the GPU, and that was breaking things. Don't ask me why, but it was. And I also just added, I believe this should work. This would be rolling. Uh-oh. Why is that acting so weird? Like, why is it bouncing? That's really weird. I don't know what's going on with that. Extra rotation. Rotate roll value. Are we doing anything to extra rotation? That's really weird. Why is that happening? Greetings. What's up? What is up, dude? All right, we've got that working, sort of, maybe. I don't know why that's... How's the project going? It's going good. We fixed some pretty weird bugs. UI's been updated a little bit. I think I'll add a sun today. Like, the sun should work. I don't know what's going on with the rudder. What is going on with the rudder? There's something wrong here. Rudder max angle yaw delta. Well, we can figure out which of these is causing the problems if we remove it. All right, now we can. What the? Okay, I don't know what happened there. Okay. Looks like the issue is not that. But we can double check that. It could be the pitch delta, which would be hopefully an easy bug to fix. Let's see. Oh, no, that's not good. Okay, so there's something wrong with both of them. And that means these are both being calculated from the Euler angles here, which is this difference quaternion, which means something here is wrong. Let's see. I know this is another way you can get the difference between two quaternions, I believe. Did that fix it? No, it did not fix it. What is going on here? Why? I also need to figure out why the roll is doing this. That is really weird. Like why it's bouncing, sort of. Shouldn't be hard. What is going on? Target rotation. Rotation dot rotation. That's the only. Why is this causing problems? It could be dot rotation. Aircraft forward. Lerp rotation. Look at extra rotation. What on earth? Unrolled rotation, extra rotation. And then which of these are we going towards? What are we doing with target rotation, actually? Oh, hold on. We don't have any target rotation value because of how I rewrote things. Oh my. We need to just set this to target rotation. That's what we'll do. Why is that breaking things? Oh my gosh, I hate this UI being so big. Global up. There are 2 candidates. Oh. Target rotation dot rotation. Probably, actually, now that we have the chance, this should just be a quaternion, not a full-blown transform. I don't know why I did that in the beginning, but it, whatever it was. Rotation dot, yeah, we can just remove this. That should fix our bug, I think. Does that fix it? Yeah, that fixes it. All right, perfect. So now why is this happening? That's the next thing to figure out. Why is it that rotating the plane does some sort of strange bouncing thing? GLFW key Q. This is where we're doing it. Okay. Roll value. If we're not pressing either of these keys, it's 0. Extra rotation. We're not lerping anything here. So why is this? I have an idea. Let's see if that fixes our problem a little bit. Nope, nope, that did not fix it. That did not fix our problem. Well, wait. It's slowing down. And that would make sense because this is probably just really extreme. So we can divide it by 100 just to see if this is actually what's causing the problems. I think that's the issue. Because we do not like using doubles in GLM. Yep. That works. And I think, I could be wrong, but I think we may just be able to do this here. And if that works, yep, that works. Not ideally, it's a little strange, but it works. Which means we can take this, throw this here, resource settings, roll rate, there. What ID is this, bro? Firstly, I love the profile pic. Secondly, this is Zed. It's kind of a newer ID. It's written in Rust, and I am a fan. I started using it because I like Rust. I like fast IDEs. I don't like VS Code because it's slow, and I like how JetBrains and all of that stuff gives me so many tools. But I knew that it was too heavyweight for a lot of this, like my laptop at school, to be quite honest. So I switched to this. And I think some of the ways I'm calculating like roll and stuff is a little wrong, but that's okay. Let's see. Okay. Looks like we made some progress here. The rolling is causing a couple problems, and I think I know why. Every now and then I have a moment where, like, randomly in my day, a solution to a bug that I'm facing will just pop into my head. That happened to me yesterday while driving home, and I have not implemented it yet. But I think that when I'm rolling and it's like making me move sideways, I think that's because it's either the order in which we're rotating the aircraft, or yeah, let's take all of this up here, or hear me out. Wait a minute. You rotate it, and then we would apply this extra rotation afterwards. Maybe that's what we should do. Yeah. At the very end, we can say transform dot rotation times equals this. And then if we do that, this might fix some of our problems. Okay, that works. If you want ideas, just stare at a wall. At least that works for me. Yeah, I guess that's a fair point. I don't know why the rudder seems to kick in whenever I turn a little too much. I'm not the biggest fan of that motion. We've got some things to tweak, that's for sure. But that's not what we're here to do today. And let's also just test the web version, because we always just have to test the web version. Also, I'm going to undo all of this just because it didn't change anything and I don't want any side effects to kick in. All right. So today, what do we want to do? Aircraft rolling. We've kind of completed that. Stalling. I had an idea for this. I think the play would be to have sort of a, like, the plane will always be falling a certain amount, but based on how fast we're moving, we can, you'll see what I mean. You'll see what I mean. I promise. Transform that. We'll make this fall factor. And in like the beginning, it'll just be 1. And this will be our, like, everything needs to be multiplied by time dot delta time. So this is our aircraft forward. Plus, we'll wrap this in braces again. Global, negative global upwards. Up times fall factor. And then that should ideally, maybe that'll work. I think we have some extra parentheses here if I'm, yeah, we do. Okay. Yeah, we have, do we have something extra? No, we don't have an extra. We just didn't add this. Man, I hate playing around with parentheses. All right, that should work. You forgot the F. So, in regards to the you forgot the F comment, in C++, it, yes, like you have to add an F at the end of a decimal to make it a float. But if not, it will implicitly cast it to a float. It is a double, but if it's like a double being assigned to a float variable, C++ will implicitly cast it to a float. Which I guess there might be some minor performance things, but I think it does it at compile time. So realistically, it makes no difference. Floating point errors at different points. Yeah, I don't think that should be an issue right now. But let's see, what was I trying to fix? Fall factor. This fall factor, we need to make it much bigger. I want this to be obviously falling in the beginning. And yeah, that's a little too obvious, but that's the idea. We want this thing to just, did you learn this stuff in college or something? I learned by myself. I learned all of this on my own, which probably explains why I'm missing many best practices, but college, I dare say, in computer science has taught me, like, if I was to quantify how much it's actually taught me, partially because I had to, I transferred schools and I took my like intro classes for computer science and none of them transferred to the second school. So basically, I'd say college has taught me next to not bashing on college. I've just not been taught any of the, I had to retake all the intro classes because when I transferred, nothing transferred. So I'd say it's taught me probably like 2% of everything I know about computer science, possibly less. Which isn't much. Like I'm not very good at this. Like there's people who are infinitely better than me at this stuff, but college has taught me very little. Hopefully that changes, but I have my doubts sometimes. I don't know. Computer science is rough right now. Okay, so this fall factor, we're gonna have some constant, and we're just gonna call it gravity. Gravity 200. And it should be a float. And then what? Will just equals gravity times, and then this will be where our we need to get dot settings dot max. What was it? Max speed, I think. And then we need to get how fast the aircraft is moving, which now that I think about it, we have 0. Oh, wait a minute. We can just do controls.throttle because that's from... Right now, the throttle is just pretty much the speed it moves at. We will have to change that. But for now, like, if we're at 1.0 minus throttle. And that should get... That should work. So now we're falling. But if we speed up and we go to our max throttle, we should have the ability to fly. Yeah, look. So we're flying. We're still falling a little bit because we're not at our max throttle. You can kind of see the gliding feature, I guess. So let's see. So this is our flying capabilities. Up here. Now, if I was to slow down, you can see we're starting to kind of stall. And if we want to fix that, we have to look a little bit more upwards. And if we keep slowing down, we're going to fall. Yeah, okay. I think that's actually working surprisingly well. Let's see. We'll make the throttle work a little bit more aggressively. And see if that works a little better. Okay, so the throttle seems to cause that jittering. Like, the throttle speed changes seem to do something. Whoa, that kind of broke everything, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. What did... Oh. That's got to be it. We need to have some sort of constant here. And actually, that will be really slow if we do it that way. So we'll just 10.0 f times time.delta time. And if we try this out, this might actually get rid of our weird stutter problem. Because we've tied it to our frame rate. Oh, that already looks smoother. But it's way too fast. We'll do 0.1 f. Although that fixed our frame rate issue. I was having some weird, like, stuttering. I could just tell that something was off. And when I reached high speeds, that's where it really started to become obvious. But now that I'm speeding up... Whoa. That's another issue. Still way too fast. And we're going to start off with a fall factor that is... Okay, we'll do gravity times that. We'll set it to something really small. Because I'd like to just see this working before I do the change. What are the plans for the weapons? Ah, glad you asked. Weapons, at least in the beginning, will be heat seekers, radar-guided missiles, and guns. With a big emphasis on guns. Because guns are cool. And especially, like, dogfighting is something that doesn't really happen anymore, but I wish it did, you know? Let's see. Okay, we're moving really slowly. I'm holding down shift. We're not speeding up too fast, although we're not really falling anymore. No, we're still kind of falling. We need to debug log this. What is the throttle? Like, what? Something... Controls.throttle. I also need some sort of actual, like, logging in this engine at some point. But, yeah. Yeah, that's the plans for weapons. We're gonna have some fun. Some cool stuff. Oh my gosh, that explains it. Ah. That explains it. The issue is actually the max speed. Which, let's see, max speed. Let's try that. This might even things out a little bit. Okay, are we at... We're going to get to our max throttle at some reasonable point. We should be at, like, a point where there's, like, no problems with, You know what? Screw the fall factor right now. We're just going to set it to 0. At least in the very beginning. So that we can just debug the throttle. Because this all worked until I, until it doesn't. Let's see. Okay. That's really stinking slow. And your throttle should not take that long to increase or decrease. There will have to be a variable involved, like for throttle increasing and decreasing, like what rate at which you can increase the throttle. That explains this issue. You know what? Once I fine tune this in Engine, we will put this into the file. Okay. Max speed of 100. What does that look like? We're still logging this. Okay, so this is 100. It's not. It's too slow. We should probably have like 4 times this, 5 times this, and we'll have throttle increase rate. And what? This throttle increase rate was not terrible. Maybe a little fast. No. We'll keep it 0.3. We'll do it. 0.3. Now, rudder max angle. We have to add that here. Rudder max angle. So float throttle increase rate. And then rudder max angle. Let's see. It would be resource dot. Oh my gosh. Settings dot throttle increase rate equals JSON. Settings throttle increase rate. All right, that works. Dynamic rate of change time. The delta time thing. Yeah, I'm doing all this with delta time in mind. Don't worry, that's not a problem. 0.3 is still hard coded though, so we need resource.settings.throttle increase rate. Now we can iterate these changes much more quickly now that this is just a matter of changing a file. That's the joy of data-driven design. Yeah, that's a much better throttle rate, and that's a much better speed. That's kind of cool. I think that's pretty good, at least for now. Oh, I just checked your website. It's awesome. Thanks, man. I use SvelteKit. There's no backend. It's just all front end. There's no need for a backend. So I guess the tech stack is literally just SvelteKit. Yeah. Everything's kind of hard coded into the front end. And if I want to make changes to my resume in there, I have to change the front end code. What's up, dude? I think we should increase this a little bit. I still feel like it just might be a little slow, but I think that for the most part is good. Okay, so, and then we also have to turn gravity back on. That's the other thing. I think now that we have this, also I want to spawn in this aircraft much higher up. I think in the test scene we, make aircraft. Are we setting the position anywhere? Position.y. Yeah, there we are. We'll set it to 100 in the beginning. Let's see. How much yo do you have? I don't know what yo is. If you mean dough, I don't make anything from YouTube. Okay, that actually looks a little better, but when we're at 0 speed, the falling rate's a little slow. Let's see. Just saw your recommendation, even though you're a first-year student who just has CPP basics clears. Quick question. Before I start data structure and algorithms, what should be cleared? Data structures and algorithms. I mean, it really, the point of the class is to teach you the generic stuff that like every computer science should know. Linked lists, hashing, arrays, sorting algorithms. It's not so much, the way I see it is it's just meant to like kind of give you the step above the basics, but like just sort of the ground level algorithm understanding. Realistically, I could probably teach myself all of it by just going online, looking up a generic data structures and algorithms course, and like seeing all the topics it teaches you. So like maybe I'll spend a few days on linked list, a few days on arrays, a few days on some sort of whatever sorting algorithm. But it's not like calculus or something where there's like a set sort of like oh, you should really work on your integration techniques. You know, like I would tell someone before they start Calc 3, have your integration down, you know? But like data structures, it doesn't really work that way from what I understand. Let's see. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then if I slow down, what does the falling rate look like? So this is 0 throttle. When I hit the ground, I want everyone to imagine explosion. That looks like, honestly, not a completely wrong fall rate. We probably should make this more like 250. Yeah, see you, man. Good luck with studying. It's not a bad setup, actually. This seems to work, at least in the generic sense. Okay, that's pretty good. All right, so we have gravity. Let's slow down and like really. One thing about planes though is, you know, you're not like you can fly at half throttle. Right now, being at full throttle is how much YOE do you have, mate? I don't know what that means. How much yo? Elaborate. I don't know what that means. Let's see. What was it? Cruise. Let's see. Throttle cruise factor. So at what point? Let's see. Throttle cruise. And we'll say that at half throttle you can cruise in this. All right. And then we also throttle float, throttle cruise. Let's see. Years of experience. Oh, I'm so sorry. Well, you can see by how I didn't like read between the lines there. Probably not much now. I've been doing this since 7th grade, sort of, was when I really, I think, would like started Java. So I was in 7th grade. I'm now a sophomore in college, which is 14th grade. So 7 years technically. Realistically, a lot of that time was spent like, are you a student? I am a student. I'm a student. But hey, what's up, dude? Yeah, I am a student. And but I've been doing this long before I went to college for it. I actually hoped that when I went to college, like, you know, I'd like turbocharge my understanding of all this stuff, and I quickly was disappointed. All right, Formula Center, I see that. I just really like your stuff. Thanks, man. Well, this is probably what we would do times this. So now 1.0 minus that. We should clamp this fall factor. Math utils. Clamp float. Well, do that. And we need to clamp it between 0 and 1. And then this should make it pretty easy. Is C# better for game development? Okay, so the short answer is the best language for game development is the one that you can get the most done in. Balatro was written in Lua. Lua is it used a framework called Love 2D. Most people wouldn't call that the most robust framework for making video games, yet, you know, no one's going to say that Balatro was a bad game at all. Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Now, for beginners, if that's your question, like if you're a beginner, is C# better for game development? C# is used as the scripting language for Unity and a couple other engines that aren't as popular. But C# is a really versatile language. Learning C#, I took an intro class. It was object-oriented programming, and it was taught in Python. And the professor and I became good friends because all we did was complain about why on earth this class was taught in Python. He didn't have a choice. He had to teach it in Python. And my suggestion was you should teach it in C# or Java. I think those two languages are much better introductory languages than Python ever will be, because it gives you an intro into the general syntax that, like, the actual, in my mind, it's important. Nothing will teach you like how functions work better than curly brace language syntax, like float and then function name. I'd say in general, C# and Java would be my suggestions if you're starting out. And from there, go to C++. You could start with C++, but really any language, yeah. Also, game development, I wouldn't call it the most technical field of computer science. There's a lot of the art side of things, and if you can get away with using let's see, perchance was that teacher's name Patrick? Formula Center. How would you know a teacher named Patrick? No, his name wasn't Patrick. My high school teacher who taught CS was named Patrick, but this was in college. Okay, so the flying works. That's for sure. Thank you very much, Inside. Of course, dude. Hey, man, what do you think have more, a game developer or a software developer? Oh, man, dude. Isn't that the question? I very, 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 very much don't know. I don't. I wish I knew. The game development industry is brutal. If you say, well, I'll answer that question next about what will I name it. Long story short, the name is going to be Fox2.io, I think. I'll elaborate on that later. But as for a game developer or software developer, I don't know. I really don't. I don't think AI is going to take like people's jobs the way some of these doomsday predictors say it will. The only realistic outcome I see in like that worst case trajectory is junior developers maybe getting, I don't think they'll be replaced, but I think there'll be significantly less of them, which in the long run, like that hurts you later on down the road. There's less junior developers. There's going to be less senior developers. The pipeline gets interrupted. I think a lot of these companies think that AI will replace software engineers, and because of that, they're firing software engineers and then quickly finding out it's not working very well. I like to hope that this will all blow over, and a couple years down the line, companies will be like, we need software engineers, because they fired all of them thinking AI could do their job. But that is wishful hoping in some ways. Now, in regards to software developer or game development, the games industry is brutal. Job security is like non-existent from what I understand. But then again, software developing, I would say just go with whichever one you like better. Because fundamentally, if you want to do either, you're going to have to try to be the best at it. So if I want to be a software developer, I'm going to have to be far above the junior developer from 2019 who got hired out of college. Same thing with game development. So whichever one you like more and you can really dive into more, do that one, because you'll be better at it. And if you're better at it, your chances of doing it are much higher. Bro, where are you from? I'm from Missouri. Yep, Midwest. And if I name the game, I'm calling it Fox2.io, because Fox 2 is what fighter pilots say when they fire a heat-seeking missile. Ironically, heat seekers won't be probably the main goal of that. No, I think being in Microsoft seems like AI will take game development part. You're interning at Microsoft in LA? Damn, dude. I'm a little jealous. That's awesome. Congrats. Let's see. But yeah, let's see. I think being in Microsoft seems like AI will take game developing part. New era of game engine is coming. I think AI will have a big impact in like asset creation pipelines. And the problem is, AI, it feels like you're getting infinitely close to something that can like actually do something important, but you never quite reach that point. Like hallucinations aren't going to go away, I don't think. And as long as hallucinations are there, you can't write industry software using an AI, because the off chance that you accidentally, leave an API key hard-coded somewhere or some massive bug, like you can't trust it. You can't trust it to be perfect. And if you can't trust it to be perfect, it can't be used in industry. So you'll need people who are like babysitting the thing, best case scenario. I would rather not be hired to babysit an AI, but if that's what it took to be a software engineer, I'd do it. All right, let's see. Stream goals. Aircraft stalling. We did that. Name. Let's see. All right. Terrain height map loading. I haven't implemented any textures. I've talked about this before. The engine is being developed alongside the game, and if I don't need a feature, it's not there. So, there's no textures just yet, but there will be. Let's see. We're gonna slow down, and if we slow down, we're at half. This is like half throttle. We slow down a little more. Look at that. We can glide a little bit. That actually looks pretty good, all things considered. We're speeding up a little fast. The throttle's a little bit aggressive. Do you use VS Code? Nope, I use Z. I've never been a fan of VS Code. Just preference. The brake doesn't do anything. That's something else we should implement. The brake should slow you down very quickly, actually. GLFW, we'll implement that brake. GLFW key brake. Well, no, we need velocity there first, which we're not going to do that yet. I'm not sure. Microsoft is making some game engine. Not sure, dude. Just saw some managers in office working on a project. That makes total sense. I don't play as many video games as I used to. A long time ago, I played a lot of video games. My favorite game to this day. Okay, nostalgia-wise, it's Skylanders. But realistically, my favorite franchise is Halo. I will always love Halo. And I will always hate what Microsoft did to butcher it. But I've been following how there's like a lot of rumors of AI being used with the new Halo game. Yeah, so I'm not surprised. What were we going to do? Terrain loading. I'm so sorry. All right. How do I load an image from scratch? STBI image loading. What was it? I have STBI installed. What? That's not it. OpenGL. There's a learn OpenGL page for this. I know there is. Yeah, textures. There we are. Text chords. Although I don't need any of that. I just need. Okay, we actually don't even have a texture type. Do we have a texture? Yeah, we do have a texture type. Width, height, and then ID. That's pretty much what a texture is. We'll get it from the loader class. This is kind of where we load data types. So I would say static what? Are these? Yeah. Well, loader.hpp, static texture, load texture from file, const char pointer resource path. Load texture resource from. We'll just call it load texture from file because that we don't need the specific file type. And then void loader load texture from file char pointer resource. I do not know Virat Kohi. Wait a minute. Is this the no? I know a guy who's making a game engine called the Kohi engine. I've seen him before, but the L makes me think you're talking about someone else. Unless you're not. If you're not, then please let me know. Let's see. Yeah, we need a GL gen textures. What was it? One and texture.id, I believe. Yeah, and then GL bind textured. GL texture 2D, texture.id, and what else? Yeah, we'll take these. I don't really want to manually type out the filtering stuff. And what else? They already use STB image. Yeah, okay. So it just loads in a bunch of bytes. Every time I've not memorized how to use this thing. I've actually gotten away with a lot of projects with using like zero texture. You'd be amazed how much you can get away with when you're making your own engine. Also forces you to think a little bit outside of the box. when you're trying to get around some like some common feature game engines have. No, he's a cricket player. He almost 3 million followers on Insta. No, I don't actually. I will say this. I'm from the U.S. Cricket is pretty much non-existent here as a sport. Let's see. I've been to the UK before. That was cool. And there was cricket. Cricket was a pretty big deal there. What's it? Text and texture.width. I misspelled width. Hey man, what's up? Let's see. And texture.height. Channels and yeah. We want alpha as well. Wait, do we want? Yeah, we're gonna want alpha. Well, GL RGBA. Well, that'll be the default. And then resource path 0 GL. Wait a minute. What am I doing? I'm looking at the wrong line. Height num channels, which we don't really. Well, actually, no. That's a good point. We could definitely store that information. Int num channels. We'll just call it channels. Let's see. Motors and texture.channels. Man, one day I need to set up the C++ integration with Z properly. C++ to WebAssembly? Yep, that's exactly what this is. OpenGLES to WebAssembly. If beta. And then, otherwise, std cout failed to load texture resource from file, and then we'll just say resource path std and all right. And for this, gl text image to d, gl texture to d, 0 gl RGB a. We want that with. Actually, wait a minute. So this is our read format, I believe. This is what the internal format of the file. One of these is the. Oh, let's see. Why not Unreal or Unity? Are you learning? What's the game you're making? How do you put the aircraft model into code? To answer all three questions, firstly, the aircraft model is a file that it's a GLTF file. So I modeled the aircraft in Blender. Here's the aircraft model. Pretty cool, pretty good for like a pretty much freehand Blender model. I export that as a GLTF file, and then I load that that file into my engine, and I parse it for like texture data. Well, I'll have to do that next. Shoot, I didn't realize that. I'm gonna have to add texture parsing to the GLTF loader. That's gonna be a fun knot. Why do I do this instead of Unity or Unreal? Because making games is fun. Writing software is much more fun to me, but I can't seem to just do one or the other. I'm big, like visual feedback is huge for me. So I like making games because I can see like the fruits of my labor on screen, and it's super fun. And I also love multiplayer and systems programming, and I love programming on the GPU. I need to learn CUDA at some point, but I like programming, not necessarily making games. And game engines actively make it less fun for me because it feels too easy in some ways, I would say. Not to say it's easy, but like it skips out on my favorite part, which is worrying about resource management and all of that kind of stuff. What's the game I'm making? I will show you. The game I'm making is basically going to be like War Thunder, but you can play it in your web browser, and it's really going to be focused on 1v1 dogfighting. Although hopefully I'll have 16-player lobbies. I'm a programmer, not a coder. I would say I'm a programmer, not a game developer. But if some company was like, hey, you want to join our studio and make games? Absolutely, in a heartbeat, I would take that. Oh my gosh. That'd be so fun. But I also love, I'm doing Air Force ROTC. I love the military. In a perfect world, I can apply this like simulator kind of stuff in the military. And I know it's possible. That's like my end goal. It's okay to be hyped, dude. You're not talking too much. Let's see. I think this is Yeah, it's good for learning. Sometimes just be overkill. It's not just good for learning. I just like doing it, you know? And it's also great for learning. Let's see. GL text. I need to get the documentation on this. Image 2D. Well, let's see. Internal format. Yeah. So this we need if texture.channels is equal to 3. We'll only handle 2 texture formats. And then this will be GL RGB. And then what is it? Width, height, texture.width, texture.height, 0. And then we'll load it GL RGBA. GL unsigned byte. And then, yeah, data. And then GL generate. Do we have mipmaps in the generate mipmap GL texture 2D? Let's see. WebAssembly is pretty old. I guess there's no frequent. Yeah, it is. You know, it is a little old, but the goal of this is to force myself to kind of work with lower end hardware. To like think about, you know, OpenGL is easy and outdated. So why not just why not make it a little bit more of a challenge by not giving yourself the full capabilities, you know? That's just my thought on it. What is data science related to coding or programming anyway? Yes, it very much is. It's like the cousin of software, of computer science. But data science is more focused on data, patterns in data, statistics. AI is closer to a data science based field than a computer science based field. That might be a hot take, but that's just my sense on the issue. But yeah, very, very, very similar. It's just which one you like more. Like I don't like analyzing data. I like building stuff. There's a reason I'll never go into academia, just because I don't like mulling over problems. It's just not fun to me. I like building stuff. And if there's problems in building stuff, that's fun. But I want to build something, you know? It's not fun to just sit there. And then, let's see. STB free image. STBI image free data. All right, we should have our texture loading now. And here's the, oh, what? What is going on here? Did I like put in the wrong? I love flying sims. I'll have to give it a try and use. Hey, guess what? You won't have to wait too long, hopefully. I want to release the flying demo as soon as possible because I want, you know, feedback on how the controls feel. So I'll show you guys the roadmap. What was it? Trello. Here's the roadmap. We've got working on flight controls, debug visuals. We're not going to work on that for a little bit. I'm GUI integration. Probably not going to have to work on that for a while. But basically flight controls and terrain are what we're working on right now. Skybox is done. Oh, it's almost done. Let's add a sun. I completely forgot I wanted to do this, but I really want to do this. We need to add a sun. You'll notice the sky is pretty, but there is no sun. That's a problem. We need a sun. So let's add one. We need, for a skybox, we're going to need a few things. We're going to need a uniform vec3 sun color. Use sun color. And we're also going to need a uniform vec3 use sun direction. And the way we're going to do this, okay, let's first give ourselves the data we need. Draw skybox. Yeah, there we go. All right, use sun color. And we will get this through what? We don't have that in the environment, do we? We do need that. Environment, we're gonna need, wait, we do have it. GLM, we'll make it white for now. And then in the back end, we will just say scene manager, active scene, what was it? Scene manager, current scene, environment dot sun color. I think this should be it. Please work. Also, this is already a vec3, so we don't need this static cast. Also, we're having an issue with STBI image. What? STBI load is not declared. What are you talking about? We have it right here, right? STB image. Am I not? compiling it. Let's see, stb image.h. Should be no WebAssembly. I guess it was. Just can't do. But we did get so much update. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely some limitations. I mean, Rust is much better for browser, like high-speed browser software development. Rust is the easy, correct choice. I'm just not as experienced in Rust as I would like to be. So, I think we already have a sun direction. And that should work, actually. Although, I don't know why this is not. Let's see, loader, STBI. Are we not including it? That's probably it. We're just missing the header somewhere. Let's see. Yeah, there. STB. What? This is in the executable. Include libraries. What? Why are we not? Why don't we have STB image involved? I'm enjoying keyboard time sound much more than the code. Thank you. I like the keyboard too. I think it's pretty great. This should work. No such file in direct. Maybe it's because STB. Interesting. Why is this not working? This should be the only thing we need. It's a header only loading file. So maybe vendor STB image. Let's see. If you want a high-speed browser, even hold on. I need to turn that on. Yeah, Vern system never tried it. Yeah. I'm really confused why this header isn't being included. Like, we have GLAD, we have glfw, we have all of the other stuff we're including, but for some reason, how long am I streaming today? Until I have to go and do the same thing I had to do yesterday. So probably like 2:20 something. Let's see, sun direction. Well, let's first figure out what this is. Scene manager has not been declared. What are you talking about? Am I not including that header either? Yeah, of course I'm not. Include scene. Wait a minute. Does scene include? Let's see. This gameplay scene.hpp. This might cause a circular include. There's a good chance it does. Scene manager has not been declared. What are you talking about, dude? Like, it is declared. It's in here. Scene. We're not. There's no circular include here, so that's good. Scene manager to HPP. Why did scene manager? That'll fix that, and then we just need to figure out why STB image isn't. No such file or directory. Why on earth is that the case? STB image.h should be working, but it's not. Why would it not be working? Let's just rebuild the project. Let's see. What on earth? Target include directories. I don't want to include. Maybe that's what we have to do. Target include. Maybe there's like a target include file. Target include. No, it's just directories. All right. Well, I guess we'll have to make an STB image. STB image. We'll drag that into there. What? Can you? I made a file. I'm stupid. STB image. And then we'll drag that into there. And then we're going to have to change a few minor things here. Vendor / STB image. And then vendor says STB image. And then we'll copy that, paste it here, and then vendor / STB image. All right, that should work now. We should be able to include everything. Yep, that looks like it's working. So let's get that skybox working. What broke? Please don't be some sort of obscure linker error. Almost got there. Let's see. Web dogfight. Find reference to STB image free. Man, it's never good enough for CMake. That's what I've learned. Bro, which processor and how much RAM do you have? I have a good amount of RAM. I have, I think, 64, 90 something. I think it's 64 gigabytes of RAM. And processor, I believe I have a Ryzen processor of some kind. I don't have it. Let's see. I tried WebAssembly in Java, GL, but it's slow because yeah, that's what I got started with. Java, lightweight Java game library. It's a pretty solid thing, I would say. I will say the build errors in the web build of this are much easier to read and actually much more helpful because of it. Whatever this thing says the problem is, will be just probably the same thing as the other one. Although it seems to be taking a much longer time to build. I don't know why I'm GUI is being involved so heavily. Did this build? It built. So it built on the web. It's not building on desktop. Why is that? This is if Emscripten, so it's in here. Vendor. What's your favorite candy? That's a good question. I'm not much of a candy guy, but I prefer ice cream. Ice cream is objectively the best sweet. And that is objective. That is not subjective. Are you using Vulkan? Nope. OpenGL. OpenGL. I want to build this fast, you know? STB image. But clearly that's not in the cards because for some reason this doesn't... I think I know what part of the problem is. I think I know what the problem is. STB image.h. That's... Wait a minute. So it wasn't the include. Did you make something? Yes, I did, actually. I made a lightweight Java game library project. It was like my first thing. I made that in what grade? I can pull it up. I made a couple actually, but by far my favorite was this. This was made, I think, in either sophomore or junior year of high school. This was my lightweight Java game library project. Kind of the thing that got me into graphics programming in the first place. It was like an RTS game engine sort of thing. It was a lot of fun. I loved it. I actually built, a friend of mine wrote the physics for it. Let's see, are you building G-Engine or indie game? Oh, I wouldn't call it an indie game because it's not going to be on Steam. It's going to be on the web. It might be on Steam, actually, the desktop build of it. But I'm also building the engine at the same time. Undefined reference to STB image free. That seems like the... This is going to be like the stupidest... I'm sure, like, this is going to be such a stupid error when I do solve this. I'm GUI.h. Include STB image header in CMake. What am I missing? There's something obvious I need to be missing here. It's a header only. Is there? Let's see. Maybe there's something more here. STB image. I also have, I loaded STB image in previous projects. Holy moly, I'm making everything more difficult than it needs to be. Let's see, what was it? Resources, not resources. It was like submodules. Yeah, submodules. Wait, where is STB? Oh, I know where STB image is. Wait a minute. In this project, STB image was just in the source directory, if I remember correctly. Utils. Yeah, there it is, stbimage.h. It's the same file. So, why is this not working? Why is this so frustrating? I feel like every day I have like a small crash out on this project. But there's like my CMake file seemed to be working with this last time. Java's a good starting point for me. Yeah, I would agree. I think Java's a good starting point as well. You know what? For now, no, this is unacceptable. I'm not throwing in the towel just yet. Why is this not working? Why on earth is this not? Why is C++ instead of A++? Because firstly, I do recognize the account posting this. We will be playing video games later today, I promise. Secondly, it's a good point. I never thought about why I'm not using A++. It would only befitting for me to use A++, being the academic weapon I am, you know? Man, I don't know what the standards for like cursing on streams are and if YouTube bans me for it, but it's tempting right now. It's really tempting. I'm not gonna. Why on earth? You know what? We're just gonna comment out this whole thing, and I will fix this off stream because I want to get a son in this game, and it's gonna be awesome when I do. And I am gonna name drop you, Asher. You'll get to see this game. It's pretty cool. This should work. We are including it still, aren't we? No, it built correctly. All right, so now let's run this bad John. All right, so this is the game so far. This is War Thunder in the browser, sort of, not totally. Although we can't seem to go, yeah, there. All right, the sun. We need to get the sun going. The sun should be a matter of some shader magic. All right, so we need to, okay, it would be in, yeah, so this would be float, vec3 sky equals this. And this will be our sky color. And then we will mix the sky with the sun color. And the way we are going to mix that, float sun lerp factor, will be what? Bruh, he doxed me. Your name is your YouTube account, dude. You doxed yourself. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, dude. Let's see. I think it's it'll be the dot of, I think our sun direction is like pointing towards the world center, so it should just be clamp dot product of u sun direction p normal. I think that's what it would be. Yeah. And then we will clamp that between 0.0 and 1.0, and then that should be it, actually. If I just one shot that, ooh, that's really bright. Maybe we didn't one shot that as well as I would have liked. Dot sun color p normal. Oh, wait a minute. I see the problem. Let's try that. Clam? I'm always down for some clam, dude. Let's see. Reported. Did you report me? Thank you for that. All the time I've spent building this. Oh, there's a shader error. That's why none of this is working. And I'm stupid. It happens. And there's still probably a shader error somewhere. Let's see. Power float int, yep. We'll just do the power of 1 for now. This should work. There we go. Look, the sun's kind of in that corner. It's really, really not spherical. I actually remember why that's the case, but let's just 3.0 this thing for now. Let's see. That's really, really stinking powerful, and it's all in a triangle. That's not ideal. We don't want that. We want 0. Like that'll be good. Am I learning? I'm learning backend dev, so going deep into Java is better for me. I don't want to learn more about C++ in this specific time. Totally valid. Maybe look into Rust though. That's good for backend. And oh, that's still not. Do you want to? Let's see. Let me think about this. Let's first see what our normals are, because that, if we fix the normals, that fixes everything here. They should be like spherical, but they're clearly not. Yeah, they're not spherical because this is not a sphere. So how do we project this into acting like a sphere? There is a way. Let's see. OpenGL Skybox. What was it? QMaps. There's a way that we need to project this to behave like a sphere. You can kind of see the corners of the skybox, and that's the problem. So how are we gonna? There's something here with like projection that we need to do, if I remember correctly. An optimization, remove any translation. Let's see. How do we fix these seams? Because right now it is literally just a cube. Let's see. There's something here. Cube math. Sampling a texture in the cube map. Oh, it's how they're sampling the texture, and that's not good. We're not gonna be able to do that. We could, no. We could generate an isosphere, but that feels a bit like unnecessary. So how do we fix this? It's just because there's more normals, like the normals are not distributed over like the length of a sphere right now. And we're doing everything with the normals, and that's causing our problems. So if I wanted to do this the right way, let's see what happens if I do that. We could just make the sun like really small. Ooh, that's hideous. Actually, wait. I've done React Redux. I've done React as well. I haven't done Redux though. You know what? Well, there's the sun for now, a giant blinding triangle. I wonder if we were to really ramp that up. Yeah, what a... How ironic. We don't have a sun just yet. That's unfortunate. Why? We'll fix that later. I mean, it's all the normals. So how could we do this the right way with the normals? It could be that we need... Okay, maybe we don't use the position. Maybe we use... Instead of doing this, there's something else we can do here. And it is probably similar to how we're sampling this. Can confirm sun is a triangle. Source, trust me, bro. I trust you. No, I don't trust you on that, actually. I call cap. Wait a minute. Because the positions aren't actually normalized either. That isn't any better. That is not any better. There's nothing else to say. That's just objectively the exact same level of bad as before. We could do P normal here and just see what that actually looks like in terms of the skybox. Yeah, you can still very much see that this is a cube, and that's the problem. You shouldn't have that. So A pose. So getting the vector to the center from wherever the cube is not gonna work. But I wonder. Extract rotation, view, normal, UV. Could UVs do something? No, UVs would be the same, normals would be the same. Adding multiplayer is so painful. We're not even adding multiplayer. We're trying to get a skybox to work. Although there will be multiplayer, and I have added multiplayer before, and it is painful. But it's fun. It's fun. It's not painful. You know? But look at that. In the browser, it's actually, for some reason, the frame rate is just infinitely better than on desktop. I'm not totally sure why yet, so we'll figure that out. But yeah, that's kind of the project right now. The state of the project. And you can do all of this stuff. I mean, that's pretty cool, actually. I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed. No textures for the skybox. That's the problem. We're not using any textures. I don't plan on using textures. I want procedural skyboxes. It's how are we going to calculate project a cube? It's a cube surrounding the whole environment. How are we going to project that so that it like the normals behave like a sphere? Like, how are we going to do that? There's got to be a way that we can do this. Normal. And the way I'm doing it right now, like initially how I did it was I just take wherever the world position of that cube is and then get the direction to the center. The problem is because it's a cube, the normals are still kind of skewed. I wonder if maybe doing something like this. Nope, that's just flat out crazy. Cannot implicitly cast from Vec 4 to Vec 3. Well, I'll explicitly cast it then. Did that fix anything? No, because now the view, that was literally me just getting desperate. That's what that's called. That's called being desperate. You know what? I'm just trying to think about this logically because it makes sense why this is happening. Okay, I'm about to do something obscene. And this will probably work, and I will probably kick myself for not having done it sooner, but I also will understand that this is just like a stupid way to do things. We're going to make a sphere in Blender. Yeah, we're just going to make it that resolution for now. I don't care. We're going to show off how awesome my OBJ importer is. We are legitimately going to call this sphere. And then in our project for our skybox, this is so stupid that I'm doing this. Environment skybox, which is in types skybox. Wherever we are, yeah, create cube. No. Create, let's see, load. Let's see, loader, load mesh from GLTF resources /meshes /sphere dot GLTF. Maybe, just maybe, we will, in using a literal sphere, have a, like, the skybox is going to actually just be a sphere. It's not a skybox. We're the first game engine to ever use a sky sphere. How crazy is that? That's another level of desperate, people. But it worked. Those normals are correct. And if those normals are correct, then this should work better. Let's see if our skybox, that does look better. That's, you know, way too intense. But we can fix that because that actually makes total sense that that's what's happening. Sun direction, P normal. The dot product here is too big. So what we need, what is it? Dot product. Should we just power that? No. 5.0, power that, and then this should give us, that's a sphere, that's a circle, and this is still way too big, so we're just going to keep upping that power. This should have some sort of big time exponential increase. I don't, there we go. There's the sun, people. Absolutely gorgeous. That's what the sun looks like, for any of y'all questioning whether that's accurate. I'm just trying to think, we could also just make a sun radius here. Sun radius. That's probably a better idea. And then we could just blur that. That's probably a better way to do this. So in the environment, we'll have a what? Float sun radius equals 0.25. Yeah, that's what we'll do for that. In the graphics backend, draw skybox. This is not a skybox. We should call this draw sky sphere. Let's see, U sun radius, and this is a float. And then if we go build that, we do have a uniform float U sun radius. And instead of this, it's just going to be an if statement. The lerp factor, is there inline if? There isn't. I know there isn't. If the dot product between, we'll first just get this, actually. We don't take that. We'll take this, 0.0. If this is greater than, well, is less than, it should be, if the sun radius is that, then How are we going to get it? Because the dot product will be 1.0 when they're the exact same. So would it actually just be 1.0 minus this? Yeah, is less than u sun radius. And if that's the case, sun lerp factor is going to be equal to 1.0. That's all we're going to do. And then that should actually, right there, assuming we don't have any errors, that's way too big. Let's just hard code this, actually, 1.0. If it's less than 1.0, but that's a much smaller sun. That's a slightly smaller sun. No errors. Are we actually recompiling? That's interesting. 1.0 minus that. So when they're the exact same, it should be that 003. Just play around with the values. That seems to be getting smaller, but it also doesn't seem to be getting smaller. What? That should just work. Are we still using the power sun lerp factor? That wouldn't change anything though. 1 times 1. What? If sun lerp factor is any of that stuff, time reminder. I know, I'm watching the time, dude. Yeah, it's actually getting uncomfortably close, but I don't care. If we set it to 0, what happens? Because nothing seems to be quite changing. Nothing is changing. Hold on. Is anything we are doing to this shader actually applying? No, it is. It's just... maybe it's like if this is greater than 1 point... it's greater than like 0.9. That should be really small. But it's not. Because for some reason the sun direction is... is this normalized? That is normalized. The dot product between these two things should be... we're trying to add a sun to the game. The problem is it's way too stinking big. And my sun radius math, there's got to be a float problem here maybe. No, dot product returns a float. The sun is a deadly laser. This should work. I'm gonna die on that hill. That this is the way it should work. And I don't know why it's not. But, you know, after I implement this, I'm just gonna have to get off because I have a place I need to be again. Yeah, that's very gradually. Wait a minute. I swear, dude. This is probably what the issue was. I did not have a negative sign. Yep. No. Wait. Huh? That's even more confusing. Why did it move? Maybe it's this. Maybe it's this. Nah. Absolutely not. There's no chance. Increase Z of sun. It's not quite, that's not quite the issue. Okay, so we just flipped what the sun and what the sky is. So let's just think about this. If the sun is 0, actually, dot, and just do this by 3. And then this will show us exactly what's going on. Go away. Close. What? I thought I saved that. I didn't save it. Okay. That's +1. That's -1. Okay, so this should be working. Sun lerp factor. So if I'm gonna try something really stupid. That didn't seem to work. That's okay. I will fix this off stream because this is actually driving me slowly insane. I'm about to be late for wherever I have to go. So that was fun. We made some good progress. Good stream. Maybe I'll stream tonight. I don't know. Probably not. I'm much more productive when I'm not streaming. Like, much more productive. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, y'all. What game am I making? You know what? We'll show you the web. I'll show you the web build, and then I really, really, really have to go. The game I'm making is a 1v1 dogfighting game that should run in your web browser. It's called fox2.io. I want this to be like the dogfighting in War Thunder, but you can play it on the fly with your friends in the browser. And this is the browser build. And I've been working on this for about 2 weeks now. Everything is made from scratch. It works pretty darn well, I would say. Although those flaps are... No, that's correct. That's correct. All right. But yeah, that's the game. It's going to be cool. It's going to be great. I'm going to host this. Y'all be able to fly that pretty soon. Yeah, awesome. I'm late. I'll see y'all later.